Here's a question that I hope you never have to answer. If someone you love was being kept alive on life support, and the doctors told you that there was absolutely no hope of recovery, only more pain and suffering, would you be able to give the order to pull the plug? That's the question facing the woman in our next story. And her answer, and what happened next, will astonish you. In 1992, 41-year-old Isaiah Avila developed a severe skin condition. When it wouldn't go away, his wife Sylvia became concerned.
Sweetie.
He had a real bad rash, and the doctors thought it was eczema. So they were treating him for eczema, but his skin was peeling. Every part of his body, his face, his back, his arms and his hands.
Isaiah, this doesn't look any better.
After 2 years of ineffective treatments, he began developing other symptoms.
He was getting tired all the time and feeling exhausted and running short of breath, just with a few steps.
Sylvia urged her husband to seek a second opinion, and the new doctor confirmed that Isaiah was a very sick man. His entire immune system was failing, a result of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a deadly cancer.
I'm sorry to have to tell you this.
I was very worried then. The first thing everybody thinks about with cancer is death. You associate cancer with death immediately.
The odds of beating the disease were slim. Isaiah was to begin chemotherapy treatment immediately, but his doctor, George Selby, didn't offer much hope of success.
Most people with this form of cancer die fairly rapidly, so the life expectancy of Mr. Avila was 6 months to a year at the time we met him, maybe even shorter.
He had to attend the hospital every day as an outpatient, every day, Monday through Friday, for 4 hours, and receive chemotherapy.
Amen. Amen.
But after 4 months of treatments, his condition hadn't improved. The family tried to be as upbeat about the situation as Isaiah was.
Let's see. Sorry, brother.
Isaiah was real strong. He said that no disease would get him down, not even cancer. So he was going to fight it all the way, no matter what.
Ultimately, doctors decided that his only hope was a bone marrow transplant. Luckily, his brother Jesus was a perfect match.
The bone marrow match with his brother was a perfect 7-cell to 7-cell. And it's unusual because the doctor had even mentioned that identical twins don't even match up 7 to 7.
On December 22nd, 1993, doctors transplanted bone marrow from his brother into Isaiah.
His recovery was wonderful after the bone marrow. 2 days later, he had an appetite. He told all of us, I want some fajitas and I want some beans, pinto beans. We all knew it was just a matter of time before he'd go home.
In the days that followed, Isaiah recovered his health in leaps and bounds. Sylvia stayed by his side 24 hours a day, sleeping nearby and never out of calling distance.
I stayed there day and night with him out of dedication. I felt like I should be there. I felt if I left, something would happen.
You've been staying here every night?
After 2 weeks, doctors were so upbeat about Isaiah's recovery that Sylvia finally felt confident enough to go home for a decent night's sleep.
Why don't you do like the doctor said and go home and get some rest?
Okay. I love you.
Love you too.
They tell me, all right, go ahead and go home. The doctor said he'll be fine, you know. You don't need to be here. You've been here long enough.
But her sleep was interrupted by an urgent phone call.
At 2:30 in the morning, I got the call from the nurse.
Hello?
I said, hello, and said, your husband needs you. He's a little sick.
Why?
She goes, oh, he's just asking for you.
I'll be right over.
She wouldn't tell me anything more than that.
When Sylvia arrived at the hospital, she discovered the horrible truth.
We're losing him.
Isaiah's lungs had collapsed and filled with blood. His entire body seemed to be shutting down.
He was dying. The doctor told me Isaiah was alive because of the machine they had just put on him. And he said, if I take off the machine right now, he will die. It's as simple as that. He will be dead.
Isaias was now totally dependent on life support machines. Once again, Sylvia remained by her husband's side day and night. But as the days passed, Isaiah's condition showed no signs of improvement.
He didn't move. We would touch him and he would feel cold. Every day I prayed, and I just prayed for God to let him see his grandkids, to let him live long enough to see his grandchildren.
Sylvia, there's really nothing left for us to do.
Doctors finally told Sylvia they could do nothing more to help Isaias. They suggested she discontinue life support.
I'm really sorry, Sylvia.
With no hope left, Sylvia turned to her children for advice. Among them, Emily Cruz.
The doctor says that there's nothing they can do anymore.
We had been talking about what would happen if that decision did come up, and we had all decided that the best thing to do would be to let them pull the plug so that he wouldn't suffer.
With that difficult decision made, doctors began preparations to disconnect Isaias from life support. But everyone was in for a miraculous surprise. The emotional conclusion, When It's a Miracle, continues. When Isaias Avila developed a severe skin rash, he had no way of knowing that it was a symptom of cancer. And by the time he received the diagnosis, the disease had spread so far that his only hope for survival was a bone marrow transplant. But during his recovery from the procedure, something unexpected occurred. Isaiah's lungs collapsed, filled with blood, and left him comatose. Now, all that stood between him and death were life support machines. After several days with no improvement, his wife and family were forced to make the difficult decision to shut off the machines.
We didn't want him to suffer anymore. So we agreed that if that was the best decision, then we would accept it.
That evening, Sylvia visited her husband one last time.
I kissed him on the forehead, started singing a lullaby to him.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
I just kept singing and singing and singing. I sang for a long time. And I was just praying to God, please let him tell me, you can't carry a tune in a bucket, shut up.
How I wonder what you are.
But that didn't happen.
Devastated and brokenhearted, Sylvia remained nearby as hospital technicians prepared to shut off all life support.
When I heard the swoosh of the air when I took off the tube, my heart was in my throat. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to run away, hide, whatever.
Suddenly, there was a commotion behind the curtain as doctors and nurses reacted to the unexpected miracle they were witnessing.
When they pulled the curtains back and I see Isaiah sitting there, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, you're alive.
And I wanted to jump up and scream.
I heard her screaming, and the first thing that went through my mind was that he had died.
He's alive.
And then she comes running in, he's alive. And I thought I had heard her wrong. I said, there's no way. And she said, no, he's alive. He is.
Come on!
We just took off to his room just to make sure that it was true, that she wasn't, pulling a really cruel joke on us. And sure enough, it was true.
Isaias had defied all expectations. His lungs were fully functioning, as were his heart and mind.
He's alive. Yes, he's alive.
Doctors were amazed by their patient's sudden and remarkable recovery.
I've never seen anybody that was as sick as he was recover to the extent that he has. And I think it really is miraculous that he's done as well as he has.
I believe my dad being able just to sit up like if nothing had ever happened. That is a miracle.
21 days later, Isaiah arrived home, fully recovered.
Daddy's home.
It was a miracle. The doctors told my wife they did everything they could. That the only thing they would help now, it would be a miracle from God. And it happened.
God has given us a second chance to spend time with my father, to do things that maybe we didn't do when we were little that we do now. And I will always cherish that he gave my dad that second chance.
I know that you have to have faith, and the only way to get through tough times is through faith. I believe in miracles. I've got one living with me.
Well, it's been 5 years since Isaiah Avila's miraculous recovery, and he and his wife join us now from their home in Purcell, Oklahoma. Hey there.
Hello,
Richard.
Richard.
Isaiah, you were in a coma for 2 weeks. So when you regained consciousness, did you remember anything? Did you have any idea how close you'd come to death?
No, I don't remember anything. I thought I was asleep. And I just woke up and I didn't know anything about it.
Well, Sylvia, this, of course, begs the question, how exactly did you break the news to Isaiah that you'd had him disconnected from life support systems?
Family was coming in to see him, and they were shocked to see that he was alive and doing so well. And he asked me, well, why are they looking at me like that and asking me these questions? And after a few days, I had to tell him the truth.
Well, how did he react?
And we both cried.
Isaiah, what did you think when you learned what had happened?
Well, I thought it was a miracle, to tell you the truth.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's any other explanation, does there? So how's life treating you both now?
It's
It's
good,
really
real
good.
good. It's been 5 years. He's been cancer-free, been in remission, and he's a construction worker, so he's built 5 restaurants in the meantime.
All by myself.
That's right, all by yourself.
Well, sounds like you're back as good as ever. And I want to thank you both for sharing your remarkable story with us tonight.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.